Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial on paper 1 question 4. It's from the June 29 AQA English language paper. It's the Mr. Hartop and his weird dysfunctional family of horror and the chrysanthemums. It's that text, and I'm going to work under the assumption that you have been able to access and read the extract. Okay, so this is question 4, as we know, is our evaluation question. I love this question. You know, this is one where you get an opportunity to really engage with the text, to offer your ideas and interpretations, draw together some of your experience and skill with language and structure, and really kind of offer a point of view and a perspective. So you're always going to get a statement, you're always going to be asked to what extent, how much do you agree? So we're looking here at lines 34 to the end, and we're looking at the idea of it showing how hard and cruel Hartop is, and that all of our sympathy is with Alice. These are the kind of two elements of the statement that we are going to be thinking of. So our sympathy with Alice. Now, I think the exam board have said some stuff around, you don't necessarily need to cover all elements of the statement, but I think it's good practice to identify, you know, what are you really being asked to comment on. So we remember that we can 100% agree, 100% disagree, or somewhere in the middle. I think that if you set yourself up with to a large extent, or I largely agree, that's a really kind of good point. We get these could kind of bullet points. These can be helpful, they can be unhelpful. I don't know. I think this is up to you and your individual teachers and how they've kind of prepared you for this. I don't always find these really helpful, if I'm honest. So we remember that we are looking from lines 34, and I think it's really kind of helpful for you to kind of flag up to yourself, you know, where that begins. I sometimes see students using evidence and using examples from earlier in the extract. Obviously, you are told in the question that it is from lines 34 until the end, so that's where you need to sort of keep your attention. What I'll do is, just in case you've not got to hand this extract, I'll just kind of leave that on the screen, and you could always pause it and have a read through. So I'll just let you pause that there, and you can have a read. Okay, right, so assuming now that you've read through that last extract. So we are, here's one I made earlier. This is a shortish response. I wanted to show you that you can get very, very high grades, full marks, sometimes without necessarily having to write 3-4 pages for this question. We know it's 20 marks, and therefore we know that we need to spend something like 25 minutes. But you know, planning time is really important for that, thinking about what are my reasons. Now, what I'd be doing if I were you, I'd be looking through that part of the, you know, lines 34 to the end, and just highlighting or making a note of where's the bit where I feel sympathy, what are my reasons, and that I feel sorry for Alice, or I think that Hartop's cruel, and just sort of highlight those and make a note of them. Okay, so my response, and I always start with, I largely agree, or to a large extent. So to a large extent, I agree that all our sympathy is with Alice. So I'm engaging with that question, who is treated as little more than a servant by her cold, unfeeling father. So treated more like a servant. This is my evaluation, this is my comment, this is my interpretation of why I have sympathy for her, because I think she's treated like a servant by her dad. So the writer deploys pathetic fallacy, and we see Alice brutalised by awful winter weather. So I've got methods here. You have got to bring in writer's techniques for this question. You've got to, you know, language and structure, basically. That's what you've got to bring that in. There are other things you can do, but I think if you visualise, oh no, it's back. Okay. So I've got methods. And then we're going to go into that and give an example. So the personification of the wind, so more method, which seemed to veer and smash her, seems to build on Hartop's aggression and creates a sense that everyone and everything is against her, even nature. The violent verbs veer and smash heightens her vulnerability, reminding us that she's quite fragile and unprepared for the poor weather conditions. Hopefully you can see how I've kind of smushed everything together in here. I've got methods, I've got pathetic fallacy, I've got personification. Somewhere I've written about violent verbs. I can't actually see it now, verbs. So we've got writer's technique. I've got examples, seem to veer and smash it. But here I'm interpreting, I'm evaluating, you know, it's like it's building on his aggression towards her. It's reminding us that she's vulnerable and unprepared. We might think that her stoically accepting this, so we've got a reference here, a quote, this task suggests it's not so terrible. So I'm kind of doing counter-argument here. But equally, this is indicative of someone who is desensitized to the almost abusive treatment she receives. I've kind of done a counter there, sort of accepting, okay, maybe it's not that bad, but actually it is. And so I've kind of gone on to say Alice no longer has any fight in her. This compliance is repeated at the end when the writer uses the verb obeyed to show she had no choice but to sell the flowers. The impact sentence, Alice stood mute, adds to the sense that she has no voice and again leads us to sympathise with her. Now, what I wanted to do here was show you how I've kind of merged together elements of language and structure, you know, repetition, end, impact sentence. These are all structural, but verb is language. So on this question, you can do a bit of everything. And I've got evidence, and I'm thinking about, you know, this idea, what does that mean if she stands mute? It makes us think she has no voice in this family, she's got no opinions, she daren't speak up, which again leads us to sympathise with her. Looking at this now and thinking it, you know, I could have done some more with that quote stoically to show that she's unmoved, she's unemotional about it, she's taking it in her stride. But I didn't, so never mind. So, right, let's have a look. When Alice is walking, we're told that she stumbled, possibly reflecting the fact she was tired and couldn't see where she was going. As she approaches the van, she notices the lights of the houses, and the writer uses the metaphor sudden stars to describe the bright, rain-blurred image of the lights. Stars evokes images of something beautiful but distant, possibly building on the idea that Alice is alone in the dark and a light, warm home is as unreachable as the stars. So this is, you know, the kinds of thing where you have got top level evaluation, because we've taken something in terms of the writer's method. This example is the metaphor. But really kind of my own interpretation and evaluation here is that it's impossible for her to get there. You know, these homes are so far away from her. And so I've kind of counted at the end that whilst we could sympathise with Mr. Hartop, because the chrysanthemum business is his only method of supporting his family, the fact that he abandons Alice to the poor weather and shouts at her to move yourself leaves us feeling intense dislike towards him. And so again, I'm just engaging with the question here, and there's some more evaluation. I'm explaining, why do I dislike him so much? Well, the way that he treats his daughter and treats her like a servant. So and by the way, never do what I've done here. This is just for the purpose of the video, but always kind of work within the lines, go on to the next page. But I wanted to do this shorter response today, just to really exemplify what you need to do and what you can do in a relatively short amount of writing. This would be a top-level response because it's got a wide range of methods, it's got examples, it's also got the sense of me evaluating and having a point of view. I keep engaging with whether or not I feel sympathetic towards Alice, and why that would be. So I would put this in the top level. So I'm saying that I'm confident around this getting a grade 9 as a response. Possibly, if I was being sort of picky, it might not be 20 out of 20. I could have done more with the stoically bit. I could have developed the sense of, Mr. Hartop being cruel So part of the statement was asking us to think about him being hard and cruel. So I could have developed this a bit more, but I wanted to, again, just show you how much you can achieve in a small amount of space. So this would likely get you 18 out of 20, and it would, at that level would be a grade 9 response. Okay, I hope that's useful for you, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.